he invited me out to speak to some people about Moorish culture. You really need to look into Moorish culture. If you look at those two tapes, they will say, let's check out the Moorish culture. Because that's going to take you back to a time where we were somebody. The way you are now, you are nobody. There are no Negro towns or Negro school districts, no black this. You go down to UN, you don't exist down there, no black, Negroes, and colors. You know how you classify down there? As an American. You ain't got no race down there. Everybody else got one, but you don't have one. And that's the mistake that we're making here. We got to find out who we are and give it to our children. Give it to the babies. They're going to be much better people than us. I say to them all the time, he's a much better man than me. I know that. He greets people, he does things much different than I do. I do it different than everybody that's around me. And that's what we have to do. He's going to do it much differently. He walks up to people, his father teaches about cigarettes. He says, hey, let's put that cigarette out. That's not good for you. He does. He sees you smoking a cigarette, he'll walk right up to you. This is my lunch note. The information that I gave you, if you check that out, you will be a much better person. Because remember, all this is based on what? On knowledge. I'm only a good carpenter because I went to school for it. And anything that I do, you can do. Ain't nobody no different than unless your leg is broke or your brain is broke. You see, if your body's in good shape and your mind is in good shape, you can think like anybody in here. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you again. We're going to have questions and answers later, so then you'll be able to ask some questions later. I want to bring on right now Professor Dr. Safia Bandali. She's the director of the director of the Women's Center at Medgar Evers College in Brooklyn, New York. And as you all know, that Medgar Evers College is having a lot of struggle right now to keep their doors open. Ever since I know Sister Bandali, she was a professor at Medgar Evers College. And I look at high regard for the sister because she's one of the revolutionary sisters that I really know. Okay? Why I say that? I want to go back to when I went to your 50th party, birthday party. We had a lot of fun. It was some years ago last week, you know? I remember Dr. Betty Shabazz, may she rest in peace. She was the MC that night. Honey, we had so much fun. I mean, it was really like a sister's night, and the brothers hung out too. It was like a sister's night. And it just reminds you of your getting with your aunts and your kinfolk. The sisters get up, they speak their mind. And, they had to keep correcting Sister Dr. Betty Shabazz, passing out notes and whatnot. And she said, I'm sick of y'all. But it was a wonderful experience. Then we went over to the Jazz 966, to listen to jazz. And you had to be there. Because we cut a full, And we just had so much fun. I know as a mother and as a sister in the struggle, one who sacrificed her life, went through many different changes, and she stood her ground. I remember the days of WLIB. And sometimes the brothers, with the testosterone, they be coming, Sonny Clark they commenting. And sister stood her ground, you know. I thought one time she was going to get up and remove herself. If your brothers don't cool out, no, do you want to really hear my opinion, or do you have me here? And the brothers, oh, we want to hear your opinion. She's going to let me speak then. You know, and I say, you know what? I was listening to the radio. I said, that's the type of sister that I like. She want to stand her ground. She want to speak her mind. You know, she let the brothers get their thing off. And then she said, well, do I get a chance to speak? Or y'all want me here or not? And she spoke her mind. They said, oh, yes, sister. And she spoke her mind. So this is Sister Professor Dr.
My 50th birthday party, Betty Shabazz, my godmother, I think was the MC. I am now 66. Right. And we did have fun. I didn't know about how the time, whatever, and
All night.
I don't know. No, I don't want to take all night. I just want to start with on the third floor, there's an exhibit on girls. I went down there just before I came up here, and I was standing, I was watching one of the pieces. I stood there for a while watching it, I was transfixed. Then a sister came into the gallery. She said, I thought you were a statue. She's talking to me. I said, why do you say that, sis? Because I was watching you were standing still for so long. I thought you were a statue. And then I had to come see what you were looking at. And I showed you that. So you need to go to the third floor to see that exhibit. Painful. But it reminds me of the work that I've been doing at Medgar. Yeah, there's a card. You know, working in the Women's Center. And I say, they say Women's Center. I say, well, it's the People's Center because we don't do that really division kind of thing. We want everybody to be happy to matriculate and so forth. And I do believe in higher education. When a student was matriculating, it's like, I want her to do well, and she's an honor student, and that's what I believe in. Higher education, right? Yes, yes, believe in that. And so I may be misled about some things, brother, but on the woman's issue, I am not misled. I know for a fact that the things that happen have to have a gender perspective, and there aren't many people who are willing to have the gender perspective. I'm willing to have the gender perspective. And as we look at, this issue of education, it's just, I looked at the questions, what do we tell our children? As that I thought about it and ran into my brain, and it wasn't so much what we tell our children, that's important, what we tell our children. But more importantly, equally as important is how we tell them. And I thought of Yusef Imam that prays the red and Dr. McCree. That's teaching. That's teaching. And that's teaching in a way that uses the 3 R's that we say as a way to teach to get a point across. Rhythm, repetition, and recitation. Rhythm, repetition, and recitation. You want to teach, you use those things, no matter what you want to teach. And so today, in the world of instant gratification, and I have to be entertained now, and when the children are older, they say, oh, I'm bored. It's like instant entertainment, 24/7 stimulation. If that's not happening, then there's a problem. We can make that happen. We can talk, particularly when we talk to young men. When we talk to young men about being stopped and why that happens, we look at all the stats and all the stats and all the stats. Those are good teaching moments. We can look at the codes, the post-slavery thing, the black codes, all of the other things that had you couldn't stay on the corner. If you were on the corner, you were loitering and you were sent to the chain gang. All of this stuff is right now happening on the streets in our communities. But we need to share that information with our young brothers in particular so that we can say there's a precedent for this in our history. There's a precedent for this in our history when post-slavery and men was gathering and talking about how to move forward, and then the economy needed laborers, and just let's sweep them up. Let's sweep them up, farm them out, Parchment Farm, Louisiana was a notorious one, so they don't have to pay. They could pay slave labor wages. And so when they did that, passed that 13th Amendment, free of slavery, there was a really, really significant exception clause that everybody is free except those who have been convicted of the crime. That still existed. Free except those who have been convicted of a crime. So the 60,000 people, on the prison plantations just in New York State, the 2 million in the United States of America, and the United States is the #1 incarcerator on the planet. The #1 incarcerator on the planet is the United States. And so the prison plantation and the prison slaves and the warden, all of this stuff replicates convict labor, convict leasing, and all of the ways that this country has, put laws in place. And I do have Black's Law, and I really recommend that everybody read Black's Law to really understand that this nation is ruled by laws. And the laws, when you're dealing with the law, there are 3 things to consider. First, of any case, what are the facts of the case? The facts. What are the facts of the case? What's the law as it pertains to that case? You have to know that. The facts of the case. What's the law that pertains to that case? But the most important, the third but most important, is where we get all caught up, is what is the political climate, what is the psychology of the moment. And so we are victims of the psychology of the moment. Forget the facts are important, and the law is important. But what's swirling around the ethos, what's swirling around is the psychology of the moment. It's the atmosphere of the moment. And that atmosphere is what causes the incarceration rate to be 2 million in the U.S., 70,000 in New York State, because of what's swirling the political thing. And so when we teach our children, we have to use something that's going to help them get through these mean streets of Brooklyn and these mean streets of whatever. So the question is, how is this relevant to my life? How do you tell, a young person, this is relevant because? We just can't mouth cliches, you're from greatness, blah, blah, blah. No, make it real for them. Make it relevant by showing the past laws, by showing the past cases, by showing how the past political climate contributed to the fact that we had all these bodies floating in the bottom of the Tallahatchie River in the Mississippi. There was a climate that contributed to that. And so in teaching, you teach what the facts are of our history, but you also teach the political climate, and you show exactly how that political climate resulted in the drive-by shootings, the sweeping up, the central booking fiasco, the sentencing disparity, the whole political thing that changed the crack and the cocaine sentences, the 3 strikes thing, the taking the judge's discretion away and giving it to the prosecutors to make sure that there was no justice. So we can teach a lot of history by thinking carefully and framing it in a way so that it's relevant for our lives today. And that's why this exhibit is so important, because when I talk to women about this thing, I said, certainly we were, we had our elevation on the continent, and during slavery, during the period when we were enslaved, our mothers and fathers loved each other. They clung to each other. They wanted to be together in community, in family, and then we were rendered asunder. I love this line in Toni Morrison. I teach Black women's literatures. Well, no, maker. Discontinued on that. You're not teaching women's studies, none of that. Anyway, when I was teaching that about Black love, because Black love is foundational, but it's Black love for a purpose. And the purpose is to say, how do we have our communities better than we inherited them? And we have to always do everything that we can, and in the way that we can, to make our communities more better than we inherited. And so Toni Morrison has a great line in one of the books where she says, is that, during that period after post-Reconstruction, she said all over, she used the word Negro, all over the United States, Negroes were walking down the street looking in their faces. Are you my daughter? Are you my cousin? Are you my brother? Looking in the faces, looking for our people. We were doing that. And don't we do that now? Yes. We should. Who your people? Who your people? you connected to? And fundamentally, we are relational, they're communal, and we have to remember that and hold on to that. But the problem becomes as we live in this world, and things become so complicated, and the pressure could become so great, and so that the violence just escalates in our homes. And so we have the macro level, which is the huge level of violence all over, and then we have the micro level, what happens in the house. And so I know this thing for women because for 30 years, I've been hearing them talk about this stuff and the silence, which is why I believe in breaking the silence and people talking about what has to happen. So the sister who curated this exhibit is an incest survivor. We know these things happen in families. We know preachers and ministers are some of the biggest perpetrators of incest and violence in this nation. We know that nobody has a monopoly on it. Nobody has a monopoly. But we do have a responsibility to speak up about it and to break the silence. So when we talk about being a whole, healthy human being, you know, you say, what do you see when you see a person? You see gender, you see whatever, how they speak. No. To be a healthy, whole human being means to take your entire socialization and present it to the world. So at all the time, you should be working on what you know so that you present yourself in the proper way. And you present yourself as a woman using your femaleness as a strength. I mean, thank God that our cycles are in, harmony with the moon, and we have to get back to understanding that. So it's just not by accident that when the moon is in a certain way or when we have our menses, our psychology, we need to understand that. Our young women need to understand that, and to talk about the difference between sensuality and sexuality, that we want to present our beauty in a way that we behold it first ourselves. And it's about the wholeness of ourselves and honoring ourselves. So the work, we work with young women who are incarcerated, 13 to 18-year-olds, in the cohort, and they've done, you can say, bad things, and trying to talk to them about what it means, and they've been so caught up, caught the hype, bamboozled, as Matthew said, that it takes some time to work through that. But when you begin to ask questions about what is it that you really want for your life, what is it that you really, really want for your life, and how do you see that these choices are not that? But we don't want to say you made the wrong choice. No. This is what the United States of America, what offered to you as a choice. We want to say there's another way to look at things. We want to say you are in control of these thoughts. You have a very, very powerful tool, your thinking. Don't put garbage in your body, don't put garbage in your mind. And certainly don't put garbage, in your spirit. So to have this kind of conversation, you have to have it using rhythm, repetition, and recitation. You have to do this. And when I retire, I'm going to do workshops for women using rhythm, recitation, and repetition to talk about what it means to be a warrior woman. What it means to stand for yourself and stand with your people. How can you fight for your people if you don't fight for yourself? So my workshop deals with the passage of womanhood, which I have time to do once I retire. September 1st, 2011. It's a good time. Yeah. And I love it's been my beloved institution where I've been all of my professional life, so to speak, but looking forward to doing some other things, and my women's rites of passage will be one of these things. And I know somebody needs to work with girls, but I want to work with women because the girls have the warrior thing, like working on that, so to speak, but to be of a legal age, I want to work with the women and to have women begin to think about their lives and how being a warrior woman is in your best interest and your family's best interest and the world's best interest. And to have that perspective and for people to understand it is so important.
She was not long, but she was strong. Right? And I noticed that we have some of the students who were at Mega Evans who were taught by Sister Sophia Mandeli. If you were one of those students, would you please stand up?
Well, that's what
You don't have to stand up, but raise your hand. Right there, yeah. Okay, I thought it was someone else in the room as well. But if you've been amongst us, Professor Dr. Sophia Mandeli, who was always taught. Okay? Next, we're going to bring up Brother Vasia Nchawe. He's the host of Education at the Crossroads on WBAI every Thursday at 7 o'clock p.m. I don't know who listens to WBAI Education at the Crossroads. And you know we have to fight for that station as well. So without any further ado, I want to bring on Brother Vasia Nchawe. He can talk much further about himself. Say something. I think you're just going to get out of here this fast.
Oh, no, I'm not going to say anything.
We got time.
I'm saying.
First, I'd like to say Baragani, Lafayette, Hotep, Salam Alaikum. I'd like to invoke the name of two ancestors. One, Brother Kamal Kalfani, who was a producer on WBAI, who made his transition very recently. Someone who in the last year or so had been mistreated by WBAI, very seriously so. Some issues in terms of our brother. One of the things we know is that we need to see how we can take care of our health. The brother didn't take care of his health. You know, we got him, he had come out of the hospital one time and, you know, he had lost weight. And all of a sudden he started getting bigger. We said, brother, you know, we will exercise with you, we will eat with you, we will do what you need to do. And brother didn't want to, you know, he was just addicted to fried chicken and all different kinds of stuff. The other ancestor I would like to invoke, her name is Sister Nia Carroll. Sister Carol Cornwall, a sister who did work with us at